All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to today's edition of SWAC Smoke. I'm C Wells, got DJ in the house as usual, and we're going to, like we do, talk a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Got some important stuff we want to put out there. Got a little thing we're going to roll out. We're going to talk about that, basketball, and whatever else pop up. So, how you doing today, DJ?
Doing pretty good, man. Excited to be back in the house. SWAC Smoke.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, we do what we do. 24 episodes deep, and the
Yes,
numbers
sir.
climbing, man. They climbing. I'm excited to see what we can pull out our hats today.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and roll out the Give Back to the SWAC initiative that we got going on at the beginning of the show. That way, everybody will know what's going on when they see the banner. But of course, we talked about doing what we can as fans, alumni, supporters of HBCUs. We're just gonna start giving back. So it's 12 SWAC teams, 12 months in the year. Every month we're gonna support a different school. No matter how big or how small the donations are, we're gonna give to the school. So um, whatever, like Sewell say, whatever your heart moves you to give anywhere, you can give $1, 100, whatever you would like to give. No amount is too small, and that money will go directly to the athletic department. Um, Depending on the amount, would depend on which sport, but it will go to that school, and we'll make sure that we have proof and everybody see something from that. So we just ask that you guys, if you want to give, give. If not, we thank you for supporting us anyway.
Oh yeah, like let me walk up to the podium like I'm in church. Y'all can go in y'all pockets and help us out as much as you can or a little. It's just the effort, man. We're not really pushing on no dollar amount or nothing like that. We just pushing for the effort, man. We wanna be for the schools. Everybody's HBCU right now, so we really want to push and support the schools. So I'm gonna leave this banner up here for the whole show. So if anybody pop in, they can see it. And if you want to drop some money in the Cash App, it's on the screen. And we're just gonna try to give back to the SWAC. So I think we're gonna start first with Alabama A&M. We're just gonna make our way down. So we're just gonna do what we can because everybody needs something, man. Even if it's just like one little thing. Oh, we got Los J up in the house. What's happening, man? I'm a boy in here. So TSU always in the house. I actually talked to Andrew Body's father today. He was talking to Illinois, say they coming. So I told him, I said I got to try to get up to Dallas for that game because I got to see the man, the myth, the legend in person. So hopefully I could make that game.
Yes, sir. I've been seeing him working out. He definitely training and trying to get right to continue tearing up the SWAC. So I'll be looking forward to that.
So yeah, we got a future legend in the making. So you got to regardless, you got to support and those kind of guys can do good for the league.
Well, I'll start off by talking about, of course, the recruits again. So we've had some more splashes in recruiting. Do you feel like the tide is finally turning? Do you feel like we're getting closer? We even got some 4 stars and 5 stars with some SWAC schools in the top five and top eight that's gonna be committing here soon. So where do you think we headed?
So I think it's slowly changing. Like I keep saying, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So it's gonna take some time to fully get to where a lot of people want it. But seeing those guys put SWAC schools in they top tens or they top fives, top fours, some of them even top three. You know, at this point, it's cool to be a hat on the table, even if you don't get picked. But it's cool to be a hat on the table right now because that raises the awareness of who your school is. Like look at Kevin Coleman, man. He was at the Army All American game. Nobody knew he was picking JSU. Everybody was like he was going to Miami. Some people thought he was going to Florida State, and he picked up that JSU hat, which I didn't even know he had. I didn't watch it. Even know he had a hat on the table. He picked it up, put it on. Those kind of things. Kids see that, and guys are saying, HBCU is the place to be right now. a lot of players who transferring are saying they want to, this is where they want to be. And I think, it's going to pick up steam. So I'm really excited to see that people are really starting to pay attention to it. So once we start to be a hat on the table, we'll start being picked too. So I'm excited. I think this is the right move and it's going the right direction.
Oh yeah. Just shout out to Valley. I've been seeing Alabama State. They got a guy from Colorado, big receiver. I don't know how well he plays, but he got nice size. Of course, Alabama A&M, they are getting people left and right. JSU still doing their thing. Pine Bluff got one person, and I think he might have been a bum where he coming from. So, uh,
We gonna hope Pine Bluff is moving silently, like they say, real G's moving silence. Maybe
man,
maybe Pine Bluff moving in silence.
some I was gonna say that about maybe Bethune Cookman and Southern. Southern, they've been talking a little bit about theirs, but it's been some schools quiet. TSU, I ain't hadn't heard a whole lot about their transfers, but I mean a lot. We've been getting a lot of people now. Grambling, Hugh Jackson, shout out to Hugh Jackson. He been doing some numbers at Grambling.
Yes, yeah. Hugh Jackson. He loves the city of Baton Rouge already, man. He took two guys from my old high school and actually got one kid who was a transfer from McNeese, also from my old high school. So he got three guys since he first got there from Scotlandville. So I'm like, man, Hugh Jackson loves this city. He came down, he had some Tony seafood, and he loved it. So he's setting up shop in the state of Louisiana, but he also killing California. So
Yeah,
it's the stakes are being raised, man, and he really not getting too many transfers. He getting a couple, but not many. I think he got a kid from SMU, but most of his kids been high school guys, and he in it for a big time 4-star running back from Louisiana. So he's making moves. People talk about Dion, but Hugh Jackson is making some moves too now. Got to definitely keep an eye out on what he's doing.
now speaking of what Los J just said, that's kind of segue into the next thing. I saw an interesting post in one of them SWAC groups. You might have seen it, but I think we hit on it a little bit, but I kind of want to talk about it, about how the transfer portal is affecting high school students being recruited by SWAC schools that normally wouldn't really go anywhere else on full scholarship. So the way the guy put it, like he's thinking about the education that those kids will no longer get due to the transfer portal. And that's a different way to think about it. I've never really thought about how those kids, because let's face it, some of those kids that were on our team prior to the prime effect, some of them were just there because they couldn't go nowhere else, but they were getting free education and they were, as far as that go, being, product on their way to being productive citizens. But now a lot of those people, like Dion said, he's only recruiting 20% high school. So I mean that gives them opportunity to go elsewhere. But when you start going lower, how many people are on full rides at that point?
Yeah,
So
like I always say, it's like a trickle down effect, man. The more top schools stay in the portal, is gonna cause everybody else want to do it because you're getting guys that are college ready. Guys already been in college. They may not have played yet, but they know how to handle themselves in college. They know the workout regimens. You don't have to really bring them up like you do a high school kid. So a lot of teams are looking at guys like that, like ready-made guys, and that hurts a lot of kids because you got those. It hurts mid, those low to mid 3-star guys. Those are the type of guys that we probably would typically get anyway, but now they're getting pushed down because everybody's at the transfer. So it's a balancing act. I don't think you can live in the portal, but the days of no transfers, that's over. I remember, like even back in 2016 when Grambling had a lot of transfers, Kincaid and all those guys, everybody was, oh, that's a transfer team. You can't win with a team like that. You can win like that now because people understand how it works with the portal. So it's gonna have to I think it's going to take a little while to shape itself, but I think high school recruiting is definitely being impacted. I think I saw something like 1,300 guys in the portal or something like that. A lot of guys aren't going anywhere. Less than 25% of guys find a home that's in the portal. So it's a lot of guys that's floating around that's not going anywhere. So it's one of those things you got to be careful with how you handle it, but it's here to stay. So I think we're just gonna have to adjust to it.
Wow. So I've been seeing some hoopla, some back and forth. I really don't know exactly what's going on, but I know you can speak to it. What's going on with the coaching rivalry going between Dooley and Grambling and Prairie View, and what's going on with all that stuff, man?
Well, as far as I know, once Bubba McDowell got the job at Prairie View, he wanted some of the guys back because he's familiar with them for working with them at Prairie View, and I I've got some talk to me about maybe the salaries at Southern wasn't as good as a lot of people thought they might be. A couple coaches got promotions. Mark Frederick, who came to Southern as running back coach, I think he's gonna be offensive coordinator at Prairie View now. So that's a move you really can't turn down, But it's just one of those things that I think with having a coach that already knows these guys, he wants some of those guys, and so he reached back and was able to get a few. But Southern, they making a couple moves themselves. We got a couple Grambling guys on the staff now, so it's just it's just that Louisiana Texas circle, man. Some kind of way we got something going on. It's the Dooley effect, man. Dooley played at Grambling, coached at Southern, coached at Prairie View. So I guess like everybody just circling around, man. We really need to get it straightened out because I don't want this to be a habit of sending guys back and forth. So right now it's fine. I think Southern making some decent moves to fill those holes, but I was just happy Henry Miller stayed. I was like, as long as he don't go, I'm good. Everybody else, position coach, you can work that out. But I really look forward to what he can do with our defense. So I was just really glad he didn't leave.
Well, what do you make of the interview Jerry Rice supposedly did, saying he's thinking about coaching now?
That makes I don't know how to really feel about that because if you don't really want to do it, you really shouldn't do it. You shouldn't feel like you should be obligated to do it. You shouldn't feel like this is the thing to do right now, so I'm gonna do it because being a head coach is not easy. I say this all the time, but Coach Prime, he said it himself. When you coach at HBCU, you have to do a lot of stuff on your own. You don't have all the support staff like at any FBS school, they got like 18 off field staff. You are the off field staff sometimes. Sometimes you got to line the field at practice. You got to get out and work. So I think if he was to find an opportunity, I think it would be good. But it's one of those things that I feel like your heart has to be totally in it. And right now, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's looking somewhere else because Valley got a coach. So I hope he's not thinking he can move in on Dancy. You know what I'm saying? But right now, I think Jerry Rice's wallet is more important to Valley than anything at this point. He need to break bread with them. I think he had been doing it already, but I think he just really needs to keep that train rolling right now and let the coaching thing figure itself out.
I'll tell you one place he can go. 2 hours from Ida Bena, Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Hey, yeah, I feel like that job gonna be open at any time, man. And
they'll kick Gamble out for him. All he gotta do is say he want to go.
A situation like that, then yes, I'm fine with
Yeah, he can't do no worse than what's going on. I mean,
you might actually have some recruits, So
yeah,
it's just one of those things. I mean, the right situation could be there, but I just hope that he don't think that Valley is the move right now because I think Dancy is doing the job, and you need to let him let this play out for him. But if he wants to coach and he really feels like that, then I think it's fine. Now, I did see somebody on one of the groups. They said something like, with everybody pushing for coaches to come, like these former players with no experience, that's pushing out a lot of coaches who would normally come up the ladder. So, now you have black head coaches not getting hired by HBCUs, and FBS schools, so like I think we need to kind of balance it out. And like I always say, everybody program is different. That kind of guy ain't gonna work at Southern. I would love to have an Ed Reed or somebody at Southern, but that kind of guy not gonna work at Southern. There's too many odd personalities and stuff. And we got Big Thriller in the house. What's happening?
What's happening?
We got the TSU people in here, man. I'll tell all my Southern people, man, y'all need to step up, man. It's like all I know is TSU people now, so I might need to slap a T on my hat. But any, I think it's just every program is different, so you can't count on every school being able to have a guy like that. So once this is another thing that's gonna kind of have to shake itself out. But if he wants to do it, hey, who better than having on one sideline the greatest defensive back ever, and the other sideline greatest wide receiver ever. The storylines sell themselves, just off of that.
Yeah, and I think the problem is that the more teams that do get those kind of coaches, the other schools, whether they want to or not, feel some kind of pressure, especially if they start to lose recruits that they normally would get and continue to lose games, and they're going to feel like they have to do it. But it's kind of like what we talked about, the transfer portal, pushing the high school kids out. Everybody's losing where we're gaining, somebody's losing at the end of the day. So it's just a beast, I guess,
Yeah, and it's the one thing that I'm nervous about is HBCU football starting to become an arms race, and you kind of seeing it, with guys like Coach Prime, even Willie Simmons at FAMU, even though he's not a guy like that, but he's a guy who's pushing for better for his program. You you have to start putting that money in your program, because if you don't, it's gonna become a gap that you're not gonna be able to overcome. And if that's the case, and you constantly got 4 or 5 teams who can contend and 7 who can't, a lot of people might not be that interested. But I think that's the way it's going. So if you can do it, you're gonna have to do it. If not, you got to find creative ways to make it happen. Because I feel like a lot of things are starting to change, and we have to try to adapt. This is like a amoeba, man. It's just like moving every different way at this point. So we don't know what tomorrow even gonna bring. So that's why I'm excited about it, because it's just an ever changing situation. And yeah, that's like the SEC, man. It's just an arms race. Everybody got you got a waterfall in your locker room. This team got PS5s and all the lockers. You got to have that too. So it's just eventually somebody not gonna be able to keep up, and that's where the problem gonna start.
Well, to my next topic, and TSU in the house, so maybe they can answer some of this. You can talk to me about Southern, but I can tell you about UAPB during the time I was there. But as far as money and resources, let's talk about training tables. Let's talk about the way the athletes eat at your school. Has any of that evolved since you last knew? Like, is that something? Because we're getting the coaches, we're getting recruits, but are we at least growing in that area now? Because that's important.
Oh yeah, I mean that's, to me, having some kind of nutrition program or staff on your it goes a long way with your strength and conditioning, which I feel like last year Southern strength and conditioning coach, I don't know how he didn't have a long time with the team, so I'm not gonna hold him on that, but they weren't as strong as I think they could be. But as far as training tables and stuff, I Southern doesn't really put anything out there, so I don't think they have anything right now. But they I know I know some people who had a group that was donating money and food to the team after practice and things like that. Some situations happened, and that stopped. So I don't know if it's going on still, but those kind of things can get hampered, because you got people who doing it and they have a problem with a coach, and then coach don't want them around. So we I think Southern, I don't think they have like serious funding issues on that kind of stuff, but I don't think they are going in the direction they need to at this point.
So I don't know what Los J say there. Yeah, so that's my thing. I mean, we do all of this training, and although I don't look like it anymore, I do have a personal training background. And my father was a bodybuilder, so training and nutrition, I understand it, and that's one thing you have all of this strength conditioning, you train your body, you break it down, break it down, break it down, but we don't properly refuel it. You got guys coming to practice at UAPB with rally bags, Burger King. They're eating in the cafeteria right next to the non-athletes with no sense of proper nutrition. So it's like getting a car and you driving it in the ground, but you putting bad gas into it all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I think when we start really going there with our programs, I think that's one of the minor differences, or is major really, between us and some of the lower level FBS and some of the other FCS schools. Some of those schools are already on board with feeding and things like that.
Yeah, and as far as I know, the only school I think in the SWAC even got a training table is FAMU. So I don't know if anybody else is moving in that direction yet, or they getting there. But like you said, you got to be prepared as best as you can, man. You can't just go out and do certain things and then come in, lift a couple weights, and think you good to go. You have to be doing the right thing. You got to keep the machine well oiled, keep it in tune, because that's how you get a lot of teams wear down second halves of games. We're not in the best condition, and to me, I think when you look at like a Southern and a McNeese, that's the difference. Like Southern team was bigger than McNeese, but I felt like we didn't have the strength edge than they over them. So we wore down because we just exerted so much energy first half. They came out second half with a better mindset. So I think we just have to. I think that's the one thing that we really had to work on, getting our programs up to par on.
Besides, I mean, obviously, is more than likely a money issue, but I mean, what do you think the first step into really making it happen? Besides, because I mean, of course, we know it should happen, but what's really prohibiting that from happening? Is it ads don't know that it need to be done, they don't know how to get funding for it? uh
I personally think that it's a mixture. Like I think a lot of our schools have been in this mindset so long of, oh, we can't do that. That's a big school thing, or we don't know how to get started. We want to do it, we don't know how to get started. I think you got to start going out into the community, and securing funds like that, man. That's what Hugh Jackson is doing at Grambling. That's what Coach Prime is doing at Jackson State. You have to get out and find ways to beat that bush and get the money or whatever it is, resources that you need. I think it's more than just depending on your alumni all the time, because we have a finite number of alums at all our schools. Nobody has a huge enrollment, so you don't have a lot of people to pull from. So I think you just need to find creative avenues to start to secure that kind of stuff, because it is there if you reach out for it. So it's just one of those things that we just gonna have to keep learning and growing, and the ads are gonna have to be aggressive in fundraising.
yeah, I think I mean, there's just an idea and we can move on, but some type of grant, because there's a lot of money that go unused for grants, and also provide opportunity for some type of internships for dietitians that's in school right now, and I mean, almost let them practice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's going to be better than what you're doing, but I might not have said it exactly how it should go, but I just believe in maybe securing funds through grants and then using students that's in school for that until you can, build enough revenue to hire somebody on full time.
Yeah, and like that's kind of what I'm saying with being creative with what you do. It's different avenues to get where you're trying to go. So you just have to exhaust all your options. I think the days of saying, we can't do that, that's whatever. school thing, we need to put that out the way and just, start pushing forward. It's just like, with recruiting, we can't be like, oh, that kid's a 4-star. He don't want to talk to us. You don't know. You don't know
Yeah.
what you don't know what some local business might do if you don't approach them. So you have to try to find whatever avenues you can use to get money and start to move from there, because we, getting the athletes is great, but not having them in the best condition or with the best facilities that they can have is a problem. So you really just need to kind of keep pushing.
Well, I think that's all I got on that end. I guess
All
we
right.
can go ahead and segue into the basketball.
All right. Well, we're gonna talk a little basketball now. Been going pretty good, man. They got some couple guys I've been keeping my eyes on that's balling. A couple young ladies that's playing well. I know Pine Bluff had had a beast on the boys the last couple games, man. Um,
Maya.
21 rebounds last 2 games, man. So I like MJ Randolph. He's a guard from FAMU. He's scoring the ball well. Robert Carpenter from Valley. He's scoring the ball well. Oh, that's what I was waiting for right here. It was real, man. I'm not gonna say we could beat y'all like that every time we play y'all, but we did a good job of turning y'all over. Now that probably ain't gonna happen in Houston, but I'm gonna take that one and run with it. So I'm still not 100% sold on Southern right now. I think they play well. They don't
Yeah,
shoot
right.
well. They don't shoot well, but they play good defense, and I think that they could keep them in games, but they have to find a way to capitalize. Now, I do want to say I watched them play Bethune-Cookman on Monday. Man, Bethune-Cookman had probably one of the worst broadcasts I ever seen in my life. Now the presentation was great, man. They had all kind of graphics, and they had a nice commentator who knew what he was talking about. I mean, he knew stuff about the playoffs from something that I didn't know because he did his research. So he was good, but man, they had the whole second half. We was up by between 5 and 10 points the last 6-7 minutes of the game. They had the camera on the opposite basket, man. So when Southern would score and they would run down the court, they wouldn't move the camera down the court. So you didn't know what Bethune-Cookman was doing on offense until you saw them change the scoreboard or you heard the crowd. So I'm like, that's not good. But I think they trying. So I always give people credit for trying the best, but that's got to change. I think that can run some people off from watching your product, because people like me who are maybe a one-time person, I might not watch another Bethune-Cookman game. Now I'll listen to a Texas Southern radio broadcast because my TSU people know about Chatterbox. Man, I don't even care who they playing. I'm gonna listen to Chatterbox. I listen to him read the newspaper. But it's just I think the presentation is not always the best. But Southern has the same problem. They broadcast is not the best. But I'm glad these games are being put out there so we can watch. So that's a real good thing. And it leads to me keep my constant thing that I'm pushing for the this year is go to basketball games, man. If you can, I know everybody can't. The empty arenas, man. That's just rough. That's just rough to look at.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get to something. I don't know if I really want to get to Baton Rouge. I got 3 SWAC schools within 3.5 hour radius. But I really want to get down to Southern. I haven't been there. I've been to FAMU. I've been to Alabama State. Never been to Baton Rouge. So I'm gonna have to let you show me the mini dome.
Now, don't listen to nothing people from outside of Southern tell you about Baton Rouge. So, because they're gonna tell you all kind of stuff. Don't listen to that, man. We good people down here. But hey, man, the minute don't need as many people. If like 400 people you can bring with you, bring a bus and help pack the minute dome. I'm actually gonna try to start going to some away games. I thought about going to Grambling, but I don't really feel like driving up there this weekend. But I think I'm gonna go to Alcorn for the Southern Alcorn game in a couple of weeks. So just I think like we talked about this last week. Just supporting basketball. I know football is king. I love football as much as everybody, but basketball and baseball are the sports that the SWAC is probably the most successful at. Those are the sports that we have the best chance of winning games outside of conference. So you really should support those programs. And Alcorn playing some good ball too. They shooting the lights out, man. They got some guys that can shoot the ball. They're 3-0. They got a big game against Texas Southern this weekend. I want to keep my eyes on that game. It's some good basketball being played right now. So I think this is probably just like football. This is probably one of the better years for SWAC basketball as a whole. There's not a dominant team right now, but there's a few teams who can really make some waves in the conference.
I saw Malachi Wideman. He actually playing, so he's doing well too.
Yeah, he had a pretty good game. I think he had like 14 points or something.
Yeah, 13 points. Yeah.
Yeah, he gonna get better as he get in the basketball shape. So
yeah.
He's an athlete, man. The kid can jump out the gym. So he gonna put on a show once he really start to get comfortable. He's one of those kind of guys that can score. You don't have to run no plays for him, man. He's gonna be around the basket. He's gonna get his in transition. So he's gonna be electrifying. And JSU needs a guy like that because their offense is not good. Their defense is great, but their offense is not good.
They calling for the coach to be fired.
Man, they call for Coach Brett to be fired every year, man. I don't know how that man's still there, but they've been calling for him to be fired for a long time. So maybe one of these days they're gonna get their wish. But I think they don't play the most exciting brand of basketball, but they play a brand of basketball that keeps them in the race all year long. Because like they say, defense travels. So if you go on the road and you can play defense, you can get your stuff together. But yeah, they actually they wanted to fire him after they lost to Alcorn in the first SWAC game. So they 0-3 right now, and people in Jackson are like people at Southern. We are hard to please. We don't have any patience, and we don't tolerate any kind of losing. Like people don't feel like we should ever be able to lose a game. But it's tough. So I know they've been. I've seen a few people getting on him. So maybe he could turn it around. If not, then they may get their wish.
So I think that's part of the problem in Pine Bluff. We don't have that. We're not gonna tolerate losing. If you're good at losing, you got a good home in Pine Bluff. We'll keep you give you extension and everything else. I don't understand it. Like. But I think it's the citizens. I think it's the city. I think it's the alumni. I don't think people put enough pressure on the school and the AD and all of that to really, make a difference. But it just seems like we're okay with being mediocre. It don't make sense.
Yeah, like I can honestly say the city of Baton Rouge as a whole is a tough place for coaches. LSU, like I said, they ran Coach O off 2 years after a championship, and he had a winning record at LSU. People didn't like Odoms at Southern, even though he only had one losing record, which was his first year that he took over. Always was in the mix for the conference, but that's never good enough. And a lot of people forget that from 1975 to 1993, Southern never won nothing. So once we started winning under Pete Richardson, we became, the team that should never lose again. Everybody think you're supposed to go undefeated every year. If you lose one game, we in trouble. People go from first quarter, we good. Second quarter, fire the coach. Third quarter, fire the coach. Fourth quarter, we pull out a win. Oh, it's all good. So it's one of those things. I think it's a middle point that you want to have. Like you want to have the expectations of being a contender in your conference and winning championships, but you don't want to have it like you said, how you can be comfortable with losing. So you need to find a balance, because if you constantly in that point where you turning over coaches, you're never gonna really get nowhere, and nobody gonna want to coach at your school because they know that eventually you're gonna want to run him off if you don't have no success. And yes, fans get really spoiled, and I would say Southern fan base is very spoiled. Jackson fan base is like that too. They, those kind of teams that just they just expect the best all the time. So they're not gonna tolerate nothing less, and that's just tough. Let's see um, I'm not. I'm right now. I'm not. I'm working with a clean slate, so I'm really not holding nothing against him. Now I do know he had a habit of late season swoons. You know, having a good start in the conference and finishing, middle of the pack. Um, that's not gonna fly in Baton Rouge after a couple years. But I'm hoping that he's gonna be in a better position. But I'm right now. I'm cool. I don't want to think about none of that right now. Um, catch me catch me in September. Well, November. Catch me in November and see how I feel. But right now, I'm good. But I think some people will have a problem if we do start to slump like that.
Oh, Dooley. I wish the best for him, man. I mean, I don't have no ill will toward him. He did well in Pine Bluff. He came back and stumped us, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's to me, it's one of those things that you almost have to be careful what you wish for. You've been pushing for Coach Dooley, and I'm glad he's here. And he wants to be here, and he understands what Southern is and how Southern works. But he also understands that the people are not going to be so tolerant. The honeymoon period at Southern is really short. Um, I think he gets a grace period because we play LSU first game. So I think nobody really expect nothing out of that game. But I don't know who he play after that. But that's when the honeymoon gonna wear off. So he understands that, and he said that himself. So it's just one of those things that you just kind of have to block out the outside noise and try to do the best you can.
When these schedules gonna drop, man? They playing around.
I saw in the Advocate in Baton Rouge that Southern's supposed to be dropping their schedule toward the end of the month. Um, I'm eagerly awaiting it. I want to see because right now our home schedule is not good just with the SWAC teams because right now we got Alcorn again. They coming to us again because the SWAC punishing them for opting out in the spring. So we get another home game against Alcorn and Pine Bluff. Them are our only home games that we have right now. We probably gonna end up with Valley as a home game. Um, we go to Jackson State. Probably gonna go to FAMU, and then play TSU in Dallas and Grambling and Classic. So home schedule, man, got to be good because if it's not, then people gonna be upset. So I hope we got a good schedule. And if JSU going to Houston, I might have to check that date and take that trip if Southern don't got a game because I want to see that game. That was a good game when they played last year, and TSU gonna be a year older, and we don't know. We really don't know what Jackson gonna be. We can say it, but we'll see.
You mean lose to TSU and that?
We not gonna. We only lose to TSU like once every few years. Low Shay, you know that, man. We only lose to y'all like once every few years, so we got that out the way. And Dooley don't lose to TSU, so I think we gonna be all right. But I'm gonna be there, man. I should have went. I should have. Well, I'm glad I didn't go this year. I thought about going, but I would have been in trouble if I went to that game. But I'm definitely gonna try to make that game as well. So I hope we have a good schedule so I can do some traveling. Because I love to get out and go to other schools for games.
Yep, that's all I got, man.
Yeah, I don't have too much more, man. But like we said earlier, that y'all if y'all can support the Give Back to the SWAC thing that we got going on. Just in case you missed it, we gonna raise money to donate to East University. We're gonna do it once each month. We're gonna do a different university, and we had a links on that we had a link in the description. We have a Cash App that we're using on the screen right now. I'll put it on my Instagram and my Facebook and everything. So whatever you can do, we support, we appreciate it, and we're gonna try to help these schools out as best as we can. So we want to be about it and not just talk about it. So we're gonna give back to the SWAC.
That's it.
All right. So with that being said, I'm out, man. I am pulling for TSU on Saturday in basketball, man. I hope y'all can beat Alcorn, and we can take care of business against Grambling. So go TSU. And with that being said, man, I'm out of here. I'm gonna holler at you.
All right, Doc.
All right.